Morning, I'm Steven Sprinkle. This is MorningBit. Let's get to it. Top 3 things I think are important today, which are all kind of in the vein of financial transactions and the overall value of Bitcoin. The first of which, and I really kind of hate covering these stories, is the recent theft of $4.1 million from a Chinese firm. Now, there's a lot of kind of sketchiness around this story and kind of what was going on with the company, but it all kind of boils down to the same point, which I discussed last week with some of the other centralized exchanges and wallets. You really have to take into your own responsibility how you handle your Bitcoins. And it really equates to whether you trust the individuals that you're giving your Bitcoins to. Would you give your cash to somebody else and trust them with it unconditionally, or would you hold it yourself? Me personally, whenever I buy Bitcoins, I instantly transfer it to wherever I know I have complete control over it. I never let it sit anywhere longer than I absolutely have to. The second story that I think is really important today is the article that actually came out of Spain from Raul Paul. And he writes for the Global Macro Investor. And it's a really interesting paper in that it equates Bitcoin to gold, in that it draws a one-to-one connection in that and there's a couple assumptions in this paper, that if Bitcoin can be equated to the idea of gold in that it's rare, in that it has a finite amount, then if you draw that one-to-one conclusion, then you get to a potential value for Bitcoin per Bitcoin of $1 million. So I think that's driving a lot of the institutional investors right now, potentially, into the currency, looking at the long for Bitcoin. We'll see how it goes overall, but I think this paper is really interesting. I'll link to it below so you can actually have a full read-through of the paper. I've kind of super high-level summarized this. And the last thing I want to bring up is the recent article that came out about the individual who bought Bitcoins back in 2009, the Norwegian man who bought them. And it's an interesting commentary on it that he sold his Bitcoins for about $800,000, and if he had held out until today, he could have sold them for about $2 million. So I think overall, it's a really exciting time for Bitcoin to kind of watch how it's changing over time, and just looking at the industry, because I really equate it to how the internet was back in the late 90s and early 2000s. It really feels like that same time right now, and it's really why I'm getting into it, because it's an exciting time where it's an industry that's largely unregulated and really has a lot of potential for innovation, which is what really drives me and excites me about doing my work. So if you have any comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear any other news or any perspective you have on the topics I brought up today. I apologize if I sound a little rough. I've been kind of fighting off a cold all weekend, and it's kind of wrapped into this week as well. I've got a new camera as well as some new sound, so let me know your feedback on that. I'm really trying to continually improve the production of the daily show. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks.